Daylight savings time stole an hour from me, so I'm fighting back in a fun way with Wilson Technology's newest game, Petty Time Theft. TM. The rules are simple. If time can randomly disappear, then so can I. Lost an hour of sleep? I'm reclaiming it in small, undetectable increments. Zoning out during a meeting? That's 5 minutes back. Taking an extra long pause before responding to an email? Boom, another 2. Staring into the fridge with no intention of choosing anything? That's a freebie. By the end of the week, I've stolen back my full hour and maybe a little with interest. Make sure to log all of these wonderful time breaks for extra points. Side effects may include missed deadlines, prolonged blinking, and an increased sense that linear time is a scam. Petty Time Theft from Wilson Technologies, because 2 can play at this game. Familiar Wilson's Media. Relationships are the story.
You are made of meat, my friend, all the way down.
The following podcast uses words like and also. If you're not into any of that shit, then now's your chance.
3, 2, 1.
Run.
Super familiar with
Welcome to Super Familiar with the Wilsons. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Josh. Amanda, I have a Chicken Tom update.
Oh, good. I've missed Chicken Tom. How is Chicken Tom and his chickens?
Chicken Tom is fine. I'm not really certain how his chickens are. I think that they're doing okay. They're still laying a couple eggs a day. So I think during this egg crisis that we're experiencing, I think that he's okay as long as he keeps them from the flu. But Chicken Tom is going to start a podcast.
Oh, is it about chickens and or farming? Isn't he also Farmer Tom?
He is, yeah. Well, I think that he'd prefer to be known as Farmer Tom than Chicken Tom. But I mean,
sounds like a judgment on his bravery.
So he sent me his first attempt of podcasting. Of course, there's things to be worked out, and not everyone could be as naturally talented as the Wilsons.
Oh, or just maybe you. I'm not going to be that humble.
Listen, no one's listening to this and saying that Josh is the class of that organization. Absolutely not. This is not the first time I've gotten in front of a microphone and done a sort of podcast episodic type of thing. This is, I think, like the third or fourth.
Well, you were hosting a radio show when we started dating.
Yeah. Well, let's not oversell it. It was low-powered community radio, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Well, you found a home there.
And then before that, I did an episodic thing for a church, actually talking about different theological things. So that was kind of my first go at it. Why am I talking about? Why are you picking basil while we are podcasting? Don't do that.
Why? Does the basil smell distract you?
No, you sitting here picking at a plant when I'm thinking that you're like absorbed in every word that I say. That's distracting to me. Anyway,
so I've created an herb garden in the windowsill upstairs, and I'm noticing that something's eating the basil inside. What is eating my basil? And so I was just pulling off the ones that had the holes in them, because the thing with basil is if you pinch the leaves, that the more prolific it will grow. So the more you pull off, the more you're going to grow.
All of it sounds so dirty.
Okay. Talk about how you're a better podcaster than the rest of the world, because that's what you're trying to say, because you have all this experience talking about religion and low-powered radio.
It's not what I'm saying. I definitely know my own weaknesses and am reminded of them daily by you.
No,
but anyway,
that's not true, and you know it's not, and that's unkind, and that's slander and libel and all the things.
Oh, okay. Take me to court. Listen, so Chicken Tom is doing this podcast.
This is about Chicken Tom.
That's
right.
This
is not about you. This is about Chicken Tom.
So I think he's actually going to be good, but it's one of those things when you've never had a microphone in front of your face before, then there's nerves, and you're going to try to over-direct and overplan and overproduce when you just got to sit and just kind of let it flow. Listen, there are like 8 million active podcasts
Something
in the world
yes.
because everyone can podcast. This is the thing that we've learned, that everyone can podcast. So look forward to Chicken Tom's podcast that he's going to do with his son-in-law. And his son-in-law is a bit country, and there's an interesting dynamic there. So check that out. Speaking of country, we went to an international festival yesterday.
It's a different kind of country, friend.
And it was such a weird thing because I didn't know what to expect. It was a spur of the moment, hey, what's happening in town type of thing. And we go there. And well, first of all, you're the one who suggested that we do this because you looked it up online. What does the description say?
So it is it's Nowruz, I'm not sure.
Nowruz?
Yeah, which is the Persian festival of the New Year, right? So the way that it's billed is that this place that we went to will be adorned with vibrant spring decorations and celebrate in celebration of the Nowruz festival. Join us to welcome the Persian New Year with local shops and vendors, cultural performances, and traditional food offerings. That's what we heard.
Yeah, but wait, now there was more description because you said you wanted to go to see the Irish dancers.
What I can't find now was the list of performances. So yesterday I could see the whole list. So it started at 4, was going to end at 8, and at 5:30 was the Irish dancing. And even though my Irish heritage is not as entrenched in my DNA as once thought, I am still like 5% Irish. And so I wanted to go see the dancing of my people. So that's what we were aiming for. We were going to get there. We got the 8-year-old and the 18-year-old of the house. It's very rare these days to have them both with us because the 18-year-old's off living her life and or sleeping, and the 8-year-old whines about having to leave the house ever. So we had them all, and we went to go, and we got there right as the Irish dancing was starting. I was so happy.
And we went there and we watched the Irish dancing and tried to get into it, but there was a lady right next to us with a small child who was very upset at not being able to go walk around basically on the stage. And I say stage, but really what it was kind of like
it's like an amphitheater. Like
amphitheater,
it was down
right.
and we were up on steps.
Steps down, and then there was a very large stage area. So finally, she just let this child go.
And this child's like 2 at the most.
And I thought, so the child like walks halfway up to where the dancers are and stops. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess that's okay, although it stressed me out. But then the child went and walked all the way up to the dancers. And I was quite certain that he would be knocked over or trod upon. And this lady's just sitting here watching her kid do that. And I'm thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So anxiety inducing. Like I got to the point where I had to walk away. Like I could not stand next to her. I mean, it's hard for me anyway because I've been an educator for 20 years in early learning environments and in elementary. And it's hard for me not to tell other people's kids what to do because that was my job for a really long time. So I had to walk away because I wanted to tell her how to parent. I wanted to save her child. Those Irish dancing shoes are no joke. Like, I mean, they are heavy wooden soled things. And I thought this kid's going to get stepped on. He was in between the dancers. They were having to move around him. Now they did a great job by like not looking at him and like keeping eye contact with each other. But to me, it was just so disrespectful to the performers, dangerous for the child. I guess he was yelling and screaming and she didn't want to like have to walk away with him. So she just let him do it.
No, but here's the thing. So, well, first of all, this is a question for our viewers. Have you ever been in a social situation in public where you just had to walk away because you were so uncomfortable with what was happening? Please let us know. Email us at familiarwilsons@gmail.com because I don't want to feel alone here. Because yes, just had to walk away. So we walked away upset because the whole reason why we wanted to be there really was ostensibly to watch these Irish dancers, and we're just like, well, we just can't do this. Came back around about 7 minutes later and looked, and the child was still there, and I went to look at the mama, right, because we were further away and I could look at her without drawing her attention. Not only was she not like stressed about it, she was filming it.
Yep.
She loved it. She could not have been happier with this turn of events.
And you could hear the people in the audience. Like at first when he started approaching, and then there were probably 100 or something people. There was like a lot of people watching. When he started approaching it, there were giggles and like, oh, this is cute. He wants to dance. But then when he got right up in with the dancers, there was a lot of like, because I mean, we all thought he was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It was really upsetting. I had to walk away. But then and the thing is, it was really crummy weather. So I'm hoping that the turnout of vendors was because of the bad weather. because there weren't a whole lot. I was really wanting to go and try lots of, food from different countries. Now, one thing I learned about myself is I am not good at recognizing flags. Because the booths were not like, hey, Mexico, hey, India, hey, like whatever. It was just like the flag. And now I know the Indian flag and I know the Mexican flag. But then there was this lovely vendor that was selling sulfite-free wine from their country, and you had said it looks like the Swiss flag, which then the 8-year-old latched onto, and he kept saying, ask him the flag, I think it's Switzerland. And I had realized, because very tiny on the bottle of wine, it said product of Georgia, so it was Georgia the country. And they had sangria, and I enjoyed that. I did buy some sangria. We got some. Well, there was a Mexican table that was selling flan, but also oddly Oreo cheesecake. So the 18-year-old got that. And then
I just think, so this was supposed to be, I guess, a Persian festival.
Yeah.
And what I saw was Irish dancers and then belly dancers.
Yes.
And then your Mexican flan place. Georgian wine, Indian food. There was a Jewish booth. I feel like this was just very simply should have been called the Non-American Festival.
Yes.
Let's just give all these people their one festival so that we can be done with them the rest of the year. I don't know what it was. Left a weird taste in my mouth.
Okay, so we need to be clear that you're not saying we should do that. You're saying we should celebrate these countries all the time, because you said let's just give these people so that we don't have to mess.
No,
with
that's
it the
what
rest of
it
the year.
felt like.
That's what
the
it felt
organizers
like they were
did.
doing, right? So yeah. Anyway, it was an interesting time. We got out of the house.
It just felt like your garden variety, public school educated American.
Oh, that's a really good correlation. It was like an international festival at a high school. That's
Right,
exactly
right.
what it was.
Yes.
Like each class had to take a country and like make food from that country and do a little poster display. That's what that was. That's what
It's
it was.
like, hey, you want to go to the festival? Which one? Oh, the foreign festival.
Yes. Oh God. Anyway, it had potential. It didn't deliver.
It was this really weird interchange that we had in this one place. They were selling bread. I guess they're a bakery or whatever. I don't know. I didn't get the story.
They're a bakery, and we've bought bread from them before.
But the one guy, the guy who was selling, he like sidled over to us and he said, "Oh, you're in luck because we have a rare appearance by our founder." Like she was Banksy or something.
It's like she never really ever makes these events, but she lives 3 minutes away. I now know I can go 3 minutes in a radius from the place and try to find her.
I didn't know what to do with that. I'm like, great. Will she sign my bread? I don't know.
I also learned that the Sicilian flag is odd, man. Did you see it?
I saw the 18-year-old Muffy talking to someone about a flag. Was that the Sicilian
It was the one,
flag?
so it was Medusa in the middle of it,
right.
but then
With, like,
three
three
legs
yeah.
with knees coming out of it. It was like the thigh and the knee and the feet. It was really an odd flag.
It just gave me a weird feeling because the way that the three legs were angled, it's like one spoke short of a swastika.
Yeah,
so I'm like, I don't like that so much.
Yeah, it was really. But the woman was like quizzing Muffy, like, do you know where this is from? And she was just like, I feel like I've seen this. Like it's on like Reddit. People talk about how it's like the most unusual flag. But anyway, Sicily, and then also, and I didn't really understand their booth because they just had appetizers like salami and crackers out, and they're like, please take some. And they had a Scottish flag and a Sicilian flag.
It was in front of the guitar store, so I feel like it was just the guitar store had
like the owners of the
snacks,
guitar
yeah.
store
Yeah, I
were
don't
like, we're Scottish and also Sicilian, and so we're gonna do this.
So speaking of Scottish, let's move along to our friend John Watson from Scotland, who sends us a phrase every now and again that we need to interpret. Last week's phrase, for those of you who are paying attention, was this.
That's gain me the book. That's gain me the book.
So I feel like something about the book, I feel like, isn't that also like, but I think it's like throwing up, but isn't that also a haver? So I'm not sure. It's like making him sick or something. Giving me the book, is it making him sick?
Yeah, so that this is what the interpretation is by John.
That means it's make me sick.
So we used to watch Dairy Girls while it was still on, and that's where we learned the word "boke." In other words, to puke or to throw up or whatever. So thanks, John, for that. Did anyone get it this week? Well, Gavin Belson has gotten that, and that doesn't surprise me because he's closer to those folks. So I'm sure that he's heard that gibberish before. So congratulations, Gavin.
Good job, Gavin.
Please expect something very special in the mail from someone. Not from us, but you will get mail. Moving on.
I saw a thing. Speaking of Dairy Girls, I love Dairy Girls. That could be a recommendation. If you've not watched Dairy Girls, go watch it. I saw a meme the other day that had a picture of Nicola Coughlan as Claire, and she's just like looking so stressed and yelling, and it said something like, no matter how bad of a day you're having, like, just know that Claire is having a worse day somewhere.
Very
because
nice.
Everything was always just horrible for her.
Or Simon from The In-Betweeners.
I couldn't get into the In-Betweeners.
That's okay. I'm sure they'd want to get into you.
Oh, no. Ew. Move along.
There's an account that I follow called Fesshole, which is basically anonymous confessions that people send in, and then they post it on their accounts. And I want to read a couple to you here and get your impression on them. And again, would you, if you frequented this account, would you send in anonymous confessions, or would you be concerned to not?
Wait, is it like Reddit, like it's just out on the internet, or is it an account like on Threads, or like where
It's
does
on
it live?
Threads.
Okay.
Well, it probably lives other places too, but it's on Threads is where I see it. But back to my question, would
Okay.
you do this?
No. Go ahead. No, because they're like I follow accounts on Instagram. They're like parenting accounts or whatever, and they'll do the like secret confession time, write in anonymously, and people are writing in all this horrible stuff that they've done or thought about or whatever. And I can't read it. It makes me cringe. I'm not even going to participate in it.
All right, so here's the first one I want to read. Get your impressions of this. I shine a laser pointer in my neighbor's window when they're gone. Their cat has trashed 3 sets. 3 sets of mini blinds chasing it. They have no idea it's me.
Oh my God, I love that so much though. I would feel bad because of the destruction to their property, and I know blinds are not cheap. But man, I would love to watch that happen.
It would be that's like a real life video game. Can you imagine?
Oh God, it's so good. No, I love that story. I mean, I feel bad about the. Also, you know what would be really fun too, mini blind destruction aside, is if they had like those nanny cams or like cameras inside, and they just see their cat losing its mind.
Well,
and,
they
like,
would see the laser poiner though. That's how they'd catch you out.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
would see that on there and they'd figure
But
it
it would
out.
be great if they couldn't see it and they just thought their cat was like possessed or something. Oh, that would be so good.
All right, here's the next one. I thought an old bloke in the gym was ridiculously strong, as any time I used the machine after him, it was always on a high setting. Turns out he was only putting it on the high setting after he finished and was trolling all the bodybuilders, including me.
I mean, good for him.
Yeah, no, that's
That's not even funny. That's like, I'm good. That's impressive. I like that. Keep doing your life, sir.
I will never go to a gym again, but if whatever I wake up in a parallel universe, find myself there, I'm doing that.
Well, we have one in our neighborhood. You could just go do it.
Yeah, but no one's in that gym. What would be accomplished there?
Occasionally, I see people in there. There's a laser pointer on the wall, and they're just following it around. That's fine.
All right, here's the next one. I'm an American living in the UK. My first job was having a fancy dress day for comic relief. No, I read that wrong. That wasn't his first job. He says, my first job, in other words, at the job, they were having a fancy dress day for comic relief.
I understood that's what you meant.
Oh, okay. I read it weird. I didn't know fancy dress meant costume party
Oh.
and turned up in a full-on tux.
Well, then you could just tell somebody that you were like the Monopoly guy or something, or Bond.
Just pretended to be James Bond and hooked up with a girl who became my wife.
Oh,
that's
I
a
love
nice
that.
Story. Yeah, I like that. It's funny, though, because it took me the longest time to understand that fancy dress meant costume party.
Yes.
Because I went the same direction.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's like you dress up or whatever. Those Brits.
Fancy dress, most definitely. You guys got that wrong. It's just a costume party. Fancy dress is like black tie.
And then last one, husband and I got married quietly 2 years ago, just us and 2 random people we asked to be witnesses.
Like just found them on the street or
Yeah.
Okay.
No fuss, no rings, no party, just a civil ceremony and huge savings. Apparently we are bad people because we didn't spend money we don't have on a party we didn't want. That's not meant to be funny. That's just, I want your impression on that whole thing.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time I've heard this, that people get, upset because they weren't invited or upset because they weren't given the opportunity. I mean, the first part of me is like, it's not about the rest of you. It's just about the people who are getting married and however they want to do that. However, what if one of our children did that? Would you be upset that you weren't involved in the situation?
I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset. I probably would be upset. Because I'm human and I want to be a part of that, but I wouldn't cut off contact with them.
Right.
Now, we know someone whose name I won't mention, but you know who you are because you listen, whose family basically cut off contact because of that. That's
just really sad and really misplaced, like, feelings. I don't know. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, and again, I get it because I would be upset, but I'd get over it. It would be one of those things. I would understand it intellectually and still emotionally be upset, which is it's dissonance there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't cut off the relationship, and I wouldn't end up holding it against them.
No, and I feel
unless it was they got married to someone I really hated, then we would have a problem. I think.
Well, that's when they hid it from you.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like I would feel, like I missed out on this chance to be a part of your day. But again, I understand this day is not about me, but I would have those feelings. But then I would look for a way to can we host a dinner for you? Can we host a party for you? Can we do something to celebrate you?
Oh, that's a good thought there. And then you pay for it all, and then it takes all the pressure off.
Again, it's not about us, it's about the people.
But you do have these feelings of you want to celebrate it, and
sure.
I
get it. Like I'm saying, I would understand the feeling, but it wouldn't make me stop talking to people. That's not okay.
Yeah. So the advice off of this one is, folks, freaking get over yourself, please.
Yeah, basically,
That's what it
really.
is.
Thank you.
All right, so now it's time for Wilson's Poetry Corner. So I've started to publish my spoken word poems on YouTube.
Yes.
And I've been getting views, I think are a lot of views, like not to a major account, they wouldn't think. But for me, I'm happy that I've got like these hundreds of people seeing these things. But not much response, maybe a like here or there. I woke up this morning and I found that through the evening, I got 3 dislikes to my latest poem. Oh, no. Why does this feel like a huge victory to me?
Oh, does it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like it's like pushing people to respond emotionally?
I think that some response is better than no response. And I don't need people to love it. I need to know that people are listening to it.
Well, which one was it that they didn't like?
I did this poem. I just posted it. So go to our YouTube channel and check it out, called An Adult in a Ball Pit, which is basically about an adult who's saying, I can't handle adulting. I'll be hanging out in this children's ball pit.
Well, I don't understand why they didn't like it, because I feel like lots of people could identify with that. Oh no, I'm upset for you. You shouldn't tell me you get dislikes, because I feel my sense of justice is finely tuned and I need to go yell at people.
No. Like I said, I see that as a victory, that people are paying attention.
All right, good for you.
Our YouTube channel is called Familiar Wilsons Media. That's the name of it. And the @ is @Familiar Wilsons. So we auto-publish our episodes, but you listen to them wherever you listen to them here, so that's fine. But then also we throw on additional things, including I've been throwing this poetry on there. So check it out. Meanwhile, also I've gotten a poem published on Men Living.
Nice.
You know what Men Living is?
I mean, I do, because you told me about it.
So Men Living it's an organization, not for profit, that has small groups for men, and they just talk about, what it is being a man, being a father, and all this and that. And I've been talking to one of the organizers there and sent him along a poem, and he sent it out in their weekly email. So that was fun. So
That's good.
Like it or not, I'm getting encouragement.
Yeah, you're sharing it with the world and you're getting your
poetry.
creativity out there, and that's great.
So I've got one for daylight savings time, which just happened to us.
Yeah, it happens in the UK too, right? But not at the same time as it happens to us.
Yeah, there are some countries who said, forget this. I think Japan has chosen not to do it. And there's some other countries that have said, this is dumb. I didn't know that it was enacted rather recently, historically. I thought that it had been something time immemorial, but not so. So this is my poem about daylight savings times. I wrote it this morning as I tried to wake up. They've stolen my precious hour. I'm wilting like a dying flower. I'm one sandwich short of a picnic. Eyes are like piss holes in the snow. It's tragic. Chasing.
God. Piss holes in the snow is not a phrase I've ever heard.
Chasing shadows down the street, mismatched socks on my sweaty feet, caffeine intakes through the roof as I consider this nasty annual spoof. Circadian rhythms doing the twist, sanity's packed its bags and hitched a lift, daylight savings a plan, kick in the teeth, take anything else, just leave me my sleep.
So good. So I gotta say, I'm not as upset now about daylight savings time as I have been for the past 8 years, because now...
Oh, you're going to be fucking upset tomorrow, though. This is Sunday. Tomorrow is where rubber meets the road.
But part of it was that it was so hard to get Winthrop to go to sleep because his body was like, no, it's an hour earlier. Now he is finally, we tuck him in, he reads, he goes to sleep on his own. He stays asleep most of the night, except he woke up the other night to tell me he was thirsty, but then he went right back to sleep. So it took about 8 years to get this kid into good sleeping patterns. And daylight savings time would screw it up every time. And then we'd be like back to being miserable. And so he was so proud of himself this morning. He came in and he said, Mom, usually I wake up around 5:30, which is true. We set his alarm for school for 6, but he usually wakes up before it. He was like, but it's 7:30. I slept until 7:30. He was so proud of himself. I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was really 6:30, but it's okay. But I mean, whatever. He can just be in his bed reading Harry Potter tonight, and we don't have to lay in there begging him to go to sleep. So I'm not as upset about it. But I did just recently learn also where it came from. Do you know? So you know that it was recently enacted. It was written into legislation in like the 60s. But the origin of it, do you know why it became a thing?
I looked enough to find out that it didn't even originate in the United States. I think it was, I want to say Canada started this thing. Is that not so?
I don't know about that. I just know about the origin in the US.
Oh, go ahead.
So I read about it the other day. It came about, I always thought it had something to do with farming. But it came about with the First World War.
Yeah.
Because of energy conservation. And so it was like, well, if we're going to set it to where it stays daylight longer, they'll be outside and not inside using electricity, right? And then after the war, it ended. Then it went again during the Second World War, ended. And then in the 60s, I think it was like 66 or something, it was written into legislation. I always thought it had to do with farming. No, it's about energy conservation. And also, I think that they tried in between the end of World War II and the 60s, people were complaining about kids having to go to school in the dark and how it wasn't safe. And so there is that argument for it. But I do think that the majority of all of the the surveys that I've seen, the data that I've seen, the majority of Americans are saying we don't want it. And we have some states that just say we don't do it. There are a couple states that are like, we don't participate in this. I wish right now I could be like, I don't participate in this and have that choice. But also, I didn't know that Bush in the 90s extended it by a couple weeks because of an energy crisis. I don't remember that either. So apparently it's just this flexible thing where we can be like, meh, it's a couple weeks longer, or meh, we don't do it.
Oh, yeah. It's the same as, let's not call it the Gulf of Mexico. Same thing. Everything is up for grabs, I suppose.
We don't need a Department of Ed. It's fine.
That's right. It's fine.
No one likes to be told what to do.
And now is the time in the program where we tell you what to do. Amanda, what should we do?
Well, I was going to recommend that you should grow some herbs in your windowsill, but it'll annoy Josh, so don't do that.
No. Growing the herbs is fine. I think it's lovely when you take the basil off the leaves and it fills the room with smell. That's great. Not while I'm talking and podcasting. This is all I'm saying to you. Continue.
Okay. But I was going to recommend that next week on Monday is St. Patrick's Day. And like we said, even though my Irish heritage is not as prolific as I want it to be, it is still part of my DNA. And so we do celebrate St. Patrick's Day here in the Wilson household. Wilson/Milligan household that is my maiden name. And I started when
Now you're going to have to change some of your passwords. You've given them your
Wilson
maiden name.
Milligan is not my password.
But you gave them Milligan, so now that's like, don't tell them your date of birth and you're fine.
I never, what is your maiden name? It's your mother's maiden name that it's like the password hints, which all the people don't do that anymore because now it's like, what's your favorite food in third grade? Like they're having to get real specific because of hackers. Anyway.
And by the way, at work, I have to change my passwords every 3 months.
Oh.
It is the worst thing. That and this two-factor authentication thing.
That's been part of my life
which
for a while.
Screwed me up, with my Gmail account. I think that these tech bros, man, they're just messing with us just because they can. This is an extension of what's happening in our country on a smaller scale. But we're not getting into that. Please continue with your recommendation.
Anyway, when the 18-year-old was little, we started hosting a green party. So you just have a green party. Eat some green food, grapes, spinach, all that kind of stuff. Have some green desserts. Maybe put some green dye in your beer if you want to do that. I don't really want to. Anyway, my recommendation is that you celebrate the land of my people. 5% of them.
5% of your people. Yes. Well, Sharon, that's so lovely. What you want to do. All right, Amanda, that's all there is. There is no more. I have some recommendations actually here. Please go to our YouTube channel, which is at Familiar Wilsons, and check out all of our stuff. Email us with anything you have, even if it's dislikes, even if you do not like what we're doing. Email us because some engagement's better than no engagement. That's familiarwilsons@gmail.com. We are going to talk to our friend Chris Barron of the Spin Doctors in 2 weeks, chat with him about the album that they're about to release. And we have another mailbag episode with Refined Gay Jeff coming up. That'll be in a couple, 3 days, so look for that. But any questions or comments you have, even if you can't stand us, email us at familiarwilsons@gmail.com.
Just email Josh. I don't want to know.
Well, you don't ever look at the email
Yeah, just
account
don't
anyway.
tell me.
So what'd you think of that whole big mess?
I think that I want to know what's laying eggs on my basil.
All right.
I love you and it was fun and I just go have a happy day.
All right. Talk to you all next week.
Go be kind.
Bye.
Bye.